Every day, ordinary people make extraordinary choices as they negotiate unpredictable pathways to the peak of their expectations without ever taking the time to enjoy the view. Join me, Tish Tindall, at this panoramic viewpoint of astonishing personal and professional progress as we find out why my next guest is living the fabulous life. My next guests, not just one guest, but two. Frankie, it's so wonderful that you could join us tonight. I was expecting it just to be Sarah, which would have been wonderful too, but to have the both of you, it's brilliant. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, I'm glad I could make it in the end.
Well,
we're good.
I am as well. And listen, we're not in different time zones.
I know. No, it's really weird. Yeah.
Do you miss it? Are you missing being over there? Well, I don't know if you're missing it today particularly, but is it, are you missing living over there, or are you done with Los Angeles?
We're definitely kind of a bit of both. I think we're both kind of like grieving it a bit because it was all sort of a bit too soon and not what we'd planned. But on the other hand, it's also really nice to be back home and be, with family. And so, yeah, it's kind of both really.
So where is home? Where are you today?
We're in Surrey today, but I'm from Surrey and Frankie's from Cornwall.
Oh, wonderful! And so where did you meet?
We met. How did we meet? We met because actually Frankie was in a doing backing vocals in a band with my sister. In fact, that was the first time. Yeah. Originally, and my sister used to she used to work with me, and she would come in every day and she'd be like, we have to watch my friend Frankie on MySpace, and we used to watch her MySpace video like every day. And we were all like, whoa, she's amazing. Yeah, that's kind of how we met. That's nice.
That was beautiful. And do you know what? I've got to say to you, I've been listening to your music for a couple of years now, and it just is absolutely astounding, as is the equipment you've always got in your live broadcasts. I'm always really into your microphones. That's, you've got, and your music is marvelous, and there is a message there. I often listen to Pendulum. It's the wonderful messages in your lyrics, but your chord structures and the way you approach the soulfulness of the creation of your music is really what turned me on to your music, because there are so many influences there. My goodness me, every genre of music is creeping in there. And how talented you both are to capture that without ruining the moment, so to speak. What was it that made you, bring all these influences in, or did they just seep in? What happened?
I don't know, really. I think they just seeped in. I think they're just kind of in us, Yeah. And they come out in the music somehow. Yeah. I can never answer that question because I never know how it works. It's really weird. But we're both like heavily influenced by just so many genres of music and people and artists, and it just comes from all of that, really. Yeah. Sometimes it's like a detriment. Sometimes, like with music industry people, they're like, you really need to stick to one. We're like, but we are all of them. No. It's great to stick to one. Like, people want to put you in a box, and they don't think we don't easily fit in one.
No, you don't want to do that. I have many experiences of that also, of trying to pigeonhole you. The great thing though is when watching your live performance as well, and if you do the covers, or if people are typing in that they want a certain piece played, the funk that comes in there, the Stevie Wonder, man, I mean, it's incredible. That those chord progressions are not easy to play, and wow, do you play them? They are really wonderful. And the soulful connection between you both, harmonically, is really something that is completely unique. And you know, undervalued, I think, sometimes, you know, when things are so mechanical. Do you think the soulful harmonies have always been there? You know, when you met, were you always able to sing like that?
I think we were really lucky. I don't know if you've ever heard the story of how we became a band, but like I was in the band already with 3 other guys, and we were about to have our first photo shoot. And we'd been talking about having another person in the band for a while, like, to play keyboards. And like, I think it was the day before the photo shoot, we were like, oh my God, Frankie, let's ask Frankie, and then she can sing as well, and it will be awesome. And we'd never even sung together before. But I just texted her and I was like, do you want to be in this band? But you've got to be at the photo shoot tomorrow. And luckily she just went, okay, and came and did this photo shoot. And it was only like a week later that we actually started writing songs together and realized that the minute we started singing together, we were like, wow, there's the real kind of, I don't know what it is, but there's a thing there that sounds great when we sing together. And
Yeah,
something just kind of was like, we just
worked
matched together. Yeah, it worked. So it was lucky.
yeah.
And the sound is so real, isn't it? It's so earthy. It's so from the universe. It's, you know, it's something that is completely addictive and mesmeric, you know. And yet if you go through your playlists, they're so different. You know, you have this massive cinematic ballad, you know, power ballad, and then you have this really kind of quirky pop thing going on, and then back to the epic sort of symphonic sound. I'm a fan. Did you get that? I'm a fan. And but from the point of view of, you know, from musical education, this is hugely inspiring. You know, your work is something that I really feel, you know, people need to be encouraged to analyze and do papers on. But my question to you would be, when you're writing it, is it just arriving? It sounds like it is. Is it just happening between you, the music, and it's there?
Yes, it's kind of, I mean, it that switching from those kind of different genres almost is very reflective of personally the music I'm into. And I love creating huge sounding tracks, as well as creating, you know, the kind of quainter, poppier song as well. And it just comes from a love of the sounds, really.
Yeah.
And just the feeling I get from, if I'm creating like this huge layered orchestral track, is, if it like gets me here, then I love it. And that's like quite often a lot of our music is very kind of atmospheric and epic, and has these big sounds and, you know, strings and things like that, because I love that the texture.
And then you add these films to it, you know, and moving over to the desert, I suppose, really helped, you know.
There was a lot of desert for a while.
Listen, it's a lot of brilliant desert going on there. And but your style, your images, you know, the way you created this thing, it's like art, you know. It's so reminiscent of other things and yet so uniquely different and inspiring. Did you always want to be, Sarah, did you always want to be a musician?
Yes, I did. I think pretty much. But but it's funny. Yeah, it's funny you say that about the videos, because like often the minute we have created like the first essence of a song, or like Frankie's played with a groove or whatever, like I'll start getting those images in my head. And it does feel like it's part of the artistry in some way. Like it's not, you know, just making a music video for the sake of making a video to promote it. It's like, it feels like it's part of it. It's part of the whole vision of the whole project.
A lot of the not a lot of the times, but on occasion that comes first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the idea for the
Yeah.
oh,
And
I
work
had this
backwards.
idea for a music video, yeah, and then you kind of imagine it, working
Yeah.
backwards.
But yeah,
And then
I
it
think
happens really quickly.
Yeah. I think I've always wanted to be a musician, but I feel like I have had an interesting journey to get here. So like I've run my own business for a long time, and then I also done a lot of kind of spiritual development as well, and spiritual coaching. And so in my business I learned a lot about video editing, and like, so it kind of all of that sort of my past life basically has come towards this kind of, it comes out in the artistry basically, in the videos, and
Most certainly does.
yeah.
And the imagery as well. And Frankie, were you always on the musician's path?
Yeah, I was, yeah. I can't think of a time in my life where I've thought about doing anything else. Maybe sport at one point, but that, that was kind of, my body got
What
older.
kind of sport was it? What kind of sport was it?
I used to play football and cricket.
Oh, brilliant.
And, yeah, a few years ago now, but music kind of took over. I moved to Brighton from Cornwall, and it just kind of took over. So I've always just done. I've always done it. And I've been lucky enough to be able to do it. Up until quite recently, due to obvious reasons.
So the story then continues, and you move over to Los Angeles, and you are making wonderful music. You are working with some hugely name-dropping producers. You're getting your music mastered by names that we would recognize. And where does that take you? Do you suddenly become pop stars? What are you, rock stars? What's happening? You're working musicians, you're making videos, you've got a following. You have people who are signing up to be members of what you're now doing. How does that happen? How do you get that following?
It's interesting. It's like we've been doing this for like 8 years now. It's a very slow burning thing, and I think it's interesting when you watch documentaries about bands, and it's always like, this is how they got together, and then suddenly they became really famous, and it's like, what about that bit in the middle? I'm interested about that in between phase, because I know artists like Lizzo, for example. This is her 9th year now. She kind of became really big in her 8th year. So it's always a steadily growing thing. And something that somebody said to me right at the beginning, when I was getting frustrated of like, when are we going to be there? And she was like, well, you're in it now. Like you keep thinking about being at this end destination, but you're in it this whole time. It's just growing. You're not just suddenly going to be there and feel like you're there. So yeah, I'd say it's an ever-growing journey of kind of developing as artists and picking up people along the way, and then pick up a few more people, and it just grows very kind of organically like that.
And did you find that being two people who were working and living together helped you form the kind of team that you needed to look out for each other when you have gone over to Hollywood? Was that an advantage?
Definitely.
I'd say yes. Yeah, for sure. It's we when we were out there, we met a lot of artists going it alone and doing it themselves, and we always used to come away from that like, we're so lucky to have each other to lean on and work with, and we're lucky that it works really well, but also it's a lot easier when you have somebody,
because
for sure.
We have very complementary skills as well. Like, I think you'd be a very lucky person to have all of the things that you need to be able to do something like this. Like, I don't know how people do it. Like, I'm in awe of people who can do it on their own. I definitely wouldn't be able to.
I don't think I would ever have gone to California and been on that whole journey, if it wasn't
for my crazy whimsical self
and a bottle or two of wine.
Let's go over there, Let's just go there.
Yeah.
Is that how it happened?
Yeah, it's
Let's
really,
finish this bottle of wine and then we'll book the flights. That's kind of how it
that
went.
is what happened. We woke up the next day and we went, oh my God, booked to go to America.
Yeah, EasyJet. There we go. We're going.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And did you know anybody over there before you went?
Did we not really? We had a distributor out there, but yeah, it was really just a whim. We decided to go to a conference called Sync Summit, which is this really incredible conference to go to where people come together to try and get their songs placed in like movies and adverts and stuff. We literally just booked to come and play at that, and then we played at that, and we met a bunch of people from doing that, and yeah, then we were supposed to be out there a week, and then by the time we'd left that week, there was people saying, look, if you want to come back, we'll sponsor your visas, and we were like, no, we couldn't possibly do that. And then yeah, a few months later we were there and supposed to stay for 3 months, and then ended up staying for 6 years. So
You stayed for 6 years.
yeah,
And
just
and
kind
you
of
wouldn't have
flowed.
come home. Had it not been for COVID, you wouldn't have come home.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
No.
Yeah.
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 It was cut short.
Yeah, and the way that you dealt with that, I thought, was so remarkable, because you very openly said this was not what you were planning, and I think it was quite reassuring for other people that
Yeah.
there's other plans, there's other things that are meant for you, perhaps. And are you managing to get on with your career at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough time for musicians at the moment. Like, I think we're all in the same boat in that, like, there's not really that much support, financially for supporting us, from the government or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, we've just, like, Frankie's just started doing a job for the first time in, like, forever. She's doing a job that's not music based, and I do my spiritual coaching and courses and stuff, so spending more time on that. But we're just doing what we can to kind of keep music going, and we've just had a couple of days in the studio, and still making sure we record when we can, and recording in the evenings and stuff like that, and just pushing through. And it's not forever, so
we're in a very, very fortunate position though, which we have access to an amazing space where we can still create, and
oh wow,
yeah, which has been amazing, especially having to leave California and then come back and find out that we now have this space, so we can carry on creating music, which is,
it feels a little bit divinely ordained. Actually, it's really crazy in that we could have come back right when COVID hit, but something in us was like, no, stay for a bit longer, hold out, wait around a bit longer. When we finally did come back, my brother, he runs this recording studio. He and his wife decided to move to Costa Rica. Just kind of, it seemed quite like random. I think they've been planning it for a little while, but it just so happened to work out on the dates that we could live in their house and basically use their studio. So it's just perfect,
wow,
perfect timing within a couple of days. And we didn't know that at the time when we decided to come back. It's just all kind of happened. So it's kind of a nice example of how, like, your world can fall apart, but it's always for a reason, and it's always gonna figure itself out.
And do you think, but you've put so many positive vibes out into the universe. You really have. Your lyrics and these chord progressions, which I adore. You have put so much out there about love and how love is the thing that is going to heal the world. Do you think some of that's come back to you when you needed it most?
I hope so. That's a nice way to think about it. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I think
believe in that.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Yeah.
And if you haven't listened to your music, and you need to believe in something, then my advice to anybody who is going to watch this podcast is to listen to your music, because when you need that little bit of everything's going to be okay, not so much everything's going to be okay, but just, you know, could somebody here come and just surround me with love musically, please? That's what I need. Then they must, you know, invest in these artists right here.
Oh, thank you.
I think it would be wrong of me to ignore something that has been in the news recently about both of you. And that was one of your wonderful images, a beautiful image of you two standing next to each other. You know, that's kind of it. Can you tell me what happened with that, if you want to?
Yeah, so it's an image that we use a lot. It's like our foreheads touching, kind of like a romantic image, I guess, because we are a married couple. I can't remember if we said that already. We're a married couple. And so we, when COVID hit, we decided to put out a bit of a plea to all of our followers online to support us on Patreon. And we're creating a new album. We were basically saying, put together this video that said, you know, we're putting together this new album, come and support us. You know, and we need your support now more than ever. Basically, that was the video. And it had a bunch of clips of our music videos, and it also had that image in it as it kind of introduced who we are.
Yeah.
And when we put it out as a paid advert on Facebook, it got denied, which sometimes happens if people do ads on Facebook. You know, they're very kind of funny about their what is and isn't acceptable. But the reason that they said was that it was adult content and sexually explicit. And so we couldn't figure out what on earth could be sexually explicit about this video. It's like really cute and kind of friendly and
supportive.
So, yeah, and we suddenly realized that maybe it might be that photo, which admittedly I got a little bit angry at without thinking it through properly, and posted it on the internet, and a bunch of people came back and said some really helpful kind of ideas about what else it could be. So we thought we'd do some tests. So a couple of people said, oh, they would do that with a hetero couple as well. And so we found like a picture of a man and a woman doing the exact same pose. And
let's just be clear here. Let's be clear here. This is not an explicit photograph in any way, shape, or form. It's a very arty photograph. It's a beautiful album cover of two people very supportive of each other whose foreheads are touching. Hello now. Come on.
Yeah, so we found the exact same pose with a man and a woman. We put that into the video and took out our one, and it went through. And we found another photo of us that was like just a kind of not touching each other photo, and that went through. Yet we kept resubmitting the first one with the heads touching, and it just kept getting denied for this sexually explicit reason that we couldn't figure out. So yeah, a friend of ours put us in touch with ACLU, who were looking into this kind of thing anyway, and they basically said it has been a big problem for the LGBTQ community that their ads keep getting denied, and it seems like Facebook are kind of trying to silence the voices, and also Black community businesses and things like that as well, apparently. So ACLU very kindly let us write our story for them, and they put it out on their website and in all their social media, and then the tabloids picked it up and changed the story somewhat, but you know, that's
one of them changing. Yeah, slightly, but you know,
publicity
is
publicity. they're raising awareness for the issue, so whatever. And we were, it was amazing to have so much support from other people who stood up for what they believe was right, and also we heard so many stories from people who had a similar story. So it's just such a big thing, you know, like when we were kind of going through, like, you know, the earlier stages of like coming out, or just you need role models, and you need to be able to see this kind of content, because it's so confusing. And like, it was really helpful for me to just silly things like have TV characters that kind of showed what I was going through, and I just think Facebook are silencing those voices, then that's a really, really big problem, especially at the moment, because it's kind of, they shape our world that we see at the moment, especially when we're all in lockdown. So
of course,
so it's a big thing.
the thing here is you're two incredibly talented human beings who are sharing their talents with the world, and you're not doing that in any way saying anything about yourselves other than here we are and here is our music. So, it's very surprising, I think, that that should happen. But I have a student who would say to me, well, you know what it is, Tish, it's the 1600s and that's what it is. And, and she's right. What would you say to anybody who was scared to have a love that might be seen as different?
I think the biggest thing that I learned is that love is so much bigger than we even understand or can put a label on. And I never really thought I would end up marrying a woman. It didn't cross my mind. But I think, let love be what it is. And sadly, we are living in a world still where people have these crazy views, but I just think love is so much stronger than that. And it was the best thing in the world that I've ever done in my whole life, just letting that be what it was.
And it's easier to say.
Yes.
Definitely easier to say that than because people find it extremely difficult in all the different situations that they find themselves in. But the best thing is to just be you.
Yeah.
You be you.
But it is very difficult, especially when you live in a community. If you lived in a community that was very, against that kind of thing, and I think, it's so important for people to support people going through that, and find your allies and find your role models and find your people you can look at, and they can be like your ray of light to get you through.
And your music, your music is certainly something that paints a picture of a world where we could all make a difference if we just realized how big love is and what it can do. And do you think your music will become so influential? I really do. I really feel that your music will become so influential when you look at the history of music and you see, what we're talking about as genres of music are embraced and then they're developed. And we're always going back to what was before, from Baroque times all the way through to where we are now. We're always going back to what was before. What you guys do, though, is you do that so effortlessly. Well, it appears effortlessly. You do it so effortlessly, and there's going to be a time when your music is going to be hugely recognized. Did you think when your music became part of films that you were making progress there, or was that just a natural thing that happened?
I think that was a really cool moment for us, when we got invited to the premiere at the Chinese theater on Hollywood Boulevard, and being in that cinema and hearing our songs come on, it was just like, wow. The craziest
How does that feel?
Just surreal, wasn't it?
I just felt really proud because we worked so hard, for so long, and it's just that you're always looking for recognition from someone.
Typical musician.
yeah, exactly. But just sitting there and thinking, oh, I'm sitting in this theater and everyone's listening to that, and we did that, and it's just like, wow, that's really cool. That's definitely a goal, or an achievement for sure.
And it was the funny things, the little things that made us really excited. Frankie plays all the instruments, but one that she's not that confident on is guitar, but there's a really strong guitar part in one of the songs, and we were like, oh, that's you playing guitar. It was funny.
That's my guitar playing on that. That's crazy. What?
Yeah.
My guitar's playing in the Chinese. What?
And that gives so much. I mean, the can you imagine how inspiring this is for we have a college, and we have performing arts courses, music and dance and musical theatre. And can you imagine how inspiring that is? You know, to be watching this tonight. And yeah, I was in the Chinese theatre. That's where we were. That was our music. And I was playing the guitar in that too. You know, I mean, that's incredible. And when Sarah, when I said to you, said, yeah, that was really cool. That was cool. You know, whereas the rest of us are like jumping up and down going, oh my goodness, that must be amazing. I've actually got a question from one of our music students, Jack, who's an incredible drummer and singer, wonderful performer. And his questions, there's two of them. And one is, how would you best describe your style of play as musicians?
Style of play?
Yeah, I presume that means like when you're playing the instruments.
I don't know. That's how. It's better you answer, because
I could describe.
I'm always in it. I'm in it, and I'm like,
I'd say whenever Frankie plays, it just feels good. Like she has the most incredible feel, and that's the thing that, you know, whenever we've worked with other musicians, that's the thing that gets them, and they're like, oh, I want to work with those girls. I want to play with Frankie, because she's just got the most incredible. It sounds like she's been here for like 10 trillion years.
Ever.
All the wisdom of like a billion past lives behind her. It all just comes out in the way she plays.
I didn't ask you to just so you could stroke my ego. I don't know. Just tell me.
You tell me.
No, that's not cool. Yeah, I would say, yeah, just the feel of it. It's, you know. You said it.
And you certainly did. And it's true. It's very true. And lyrically, Sarah, what do you feel about your style of lyrics? Because they are, I mean, come on, they're right up there with everybody's. I mean, they're just wonderful, and they stick in here, and they make you listen. And that's the thing, that they make you listen, and then you watch them with these wonderful, you know, music videos. What's that style? What would you call that?
Gosh,
poetry, I call it.
I feel like I'm very spiritual with my lyric writing, and to be honest with you, it doesn't feel like it's me. I just feel like I know that's really cheesy, and everyone says that, but like, yeah, it just comes through me, and it's I definitely feed off of nature, and like wherever we are in the world, like the feeling that I get from like the earth, if that doesn't sound too woo woo, and you know, it comes from that more than myself, and I don't really even remember writing them a lot.
It's almost like your lyrics need to be heard on a big screen. You know, that's what I feel about your music. Your lyrics, they need to be heard on a big screen. You know, we need to see everything that it conjures up, because it's really incredible, you know. Sorry, Frank, I cut you off there.
No, I was going to say the same thing about the music as well. A lot of the times, if people, sometimes a lot of questions we get is, what's the development of the music? And quite often I can't answer that question, because I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember what came first a lot of the time.
No, because it's just there.
But yeah, it's just something, you know, that comes through you. But it doesn't always happen. Sometimes
no, and it's having the confidence to follow that as well as the, you know, and the skills. Let's not knock that. You know, it says you're actually producing these things, so it is actually you that's doing it. The second question is, now, what motivated you to take this beautiful creative path in life? Good question, Jack. That's a brilliant question.
That's a good question.
I just got to a point where I couldn't not, and it was interesting, because for years, like, I came to being an artist relatively late. I think for I was always a professional singer, but people would always say to me, "Oh, you must write songs," and I was like, "No." And you must want to be an artist? No, I'm not really into that. Like, I just want to be a singer. I want to just sing and make money. And then suddenly something happened in me, and I was like, oh, I literally cannot not do this now. And my whole life completely changed. And I battled with myself a little bit, because I was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? But eventually I just went with it, and it's best thing I've ever done, for sure.
And you can see that, you know. And Frankie?
I just I'm just addicted to the music. Did someone write that to someone?
You know what I'm gonna make a note.
Playing it, the
I'm
sounds,
taking that one.
yeah. Yeah, just the sounds and the music, and just figuring out things on different instruments and things like that. Just can't get enough.
And that's the way it should be, I reckon, you know, because then what comes out of these tracks is that for the listener, you know, you know where, well, I know where certain lyrics are in certain parts of your songs, and, you know, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. We're okay today. We're good, you know, and, you know, looking back on what you've been through and this incredible story of two human beings whose hearts now tell this amazingly powerful story together, the soundscape of, you know, wonderful music. If you were to just look back and would there ever been a time when you thought, I can't do this anymore, I'm going to have to give up?
We go through that maybe hourly. Yeah, at least 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah, that happens. Maybe not that much, but it does happen.
Yeah.
So then why don't you?
Well, the best thing to do is just write a song, or, you know, create something else, and then you're like, oh wow. Or something I like to do is just listen to stuff that we've done before. But also, because you forget what you've done, and you don't really listen to yourself, like, and every now and then it's kind of nice to listen and just think, wow, that's actually right. And also, you know, doing interviews like this is like listening to you talk about us in such an amazing way is just, you know, it's amazing, so amazing to hear that. And every time it just boosts us to hear, like, you know, that's your reaction to our music. It's like, wow, that's amazing.
Do you think it boosts you so much that you would give me a ticket to the Chinese theatre the next time you're there?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
definitely. I definitely do.
You know, the thing is, though, that's what this podcast is about, really. It's about trying to get people to tell us what it's like to be there, you know, right now, and whether that is at whatever successful point in your lives, and whatever that is. We're trying to sort of bridge a gap between industry and education, and hear about all these fabulous lives. And would you look back for me on your journey? So from bottle of wine number, whatever it was, to waking up in the morning going, oh dear, we've got tickets, you know, to back where you are now, is there something that you could both look upon and say, you know, look at that was just fabulous?
I'd say just the whole thing, like, when you look back, everything happened in this like very magical way, like, of just kind of following. I really believe in like following what feels right, even if it doesn't make any logical sense.
Sure.
And I think that we've done that, and I'm very proud that we've done that, because it's always led us to the next best, you know, the next incredible thing, and it's been an incredible journey because of that. So yeah, I'd say all of it. What about you?
Yeah, it's I think because it's something I never would have done ever. Looking back, you know, before the 6 years before we went and, you know, lived in LA, and I never would have done that. And it all happened so quickly now, looking back.
Yeah.
It's so important to look back, because when you're in it, you don't realize that what you're doing, you know, every day, months go by, and you're like, but I think at least, you know, once a week we would look at each other, and I would certainly just be like, what is this? What is our life? like, wow,
Yeah.
you know, what are we doing? And then, you know, that just looking back on that of that time, but you know, it hasn't ended. Like we're still creating music, and you know, we're gonna have an album out next year, so really excited about that. But yeah,
And I hope, you know, I hope that's one thing I would say to you: please never give up making music, because you know what is ahead of you, I'm absolutely certain, is the rest of the world working out how wonderful your music is. And you know, and I hope, please, to come back on the show again when you are ready to talk about that album. I know that we have a music video at the end of this podcast today, but I just wanted to say to you both, you are incredible human beings with incredible talents. You are an inspiration for everybody out there who, regardless of you know what they're going through in their lives, there is a great leveler here, which is a unique and a very epic, momentous music making. And I, for one, would just like to say a huge thank you to you both for coming on the show. I know that everybody who watches this episode is going to be absolutely inspired. So I would like to say thank you very much, Sarah, Frankie, to you also, Unsung Lilly. You are absolutely, for sure, living the most incredible, fabulous life. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Give me all you have, but I'm still breathing. But I'll hold on till the end. We can fight all night, but I'll still be there. Gonna hold on tight until the end. But a mountain sits upon my chest, and I'm tired of shallow breath. We can fight all night, but I'll still be there. Where the road ends, where the sun lives. All we need to do is fly. It's not enough to just survive. You and I could really thrive if we just close our eyes and fly. Give me all you have, but I can't see it. Just a still town girl on a Saturday night, looking for the fight of her life. In a real-time world, no one sees her at all. They all say she's crazy, locking rhythms to the beat of her heart, changing movement into the light. She is dancing to the danger zone when the dancer becomes a dance. You can cut you like a knife if the gift becomes a fight. On a wire between will and what will be. She's a maniac on the floor, and she's dancing like she never danced before. She's a